is Ali Rakoze. I'm a student in the Bachelor of Arts program with College for America at Southern New Hampshire University, and I'm conducting this interview as part of my academic work. With your consent, I will record this video and use the information in this video. I'm working on a goal called Contribute to the Society project. The interview will be used on this video and submitted to College for America so that my project can be evaluated. This recorded video will be used solely for this purpose. If you confirm your consent, can you just please read this?
I, Cynthia Dushime, give my informed consent to participate in this interview to be recorded and used as part of the student's academic work.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. We can start with the questions now. Okay, the first question, what are the three branches of the government?
Thank you. I think the three branches are the executive branch, the judiciary branch, and the legislative branch.
Okay. Can you tell me what does each branch do?
So what I remember is that the executive branch is made by the president in different agencies, and what they do is that they confound different laws for the population. And for the legislative branch, they also take part in forming laws according to rights, but I'm not really sure about it.
Thank you. The third question, can we, apart from Republican and Democratic, what is the third party?
I don't know the third party.
Okay. The fourth and the last question, what is the basic process by which a bill becomes a law?
Thank you. So for a bill to become a law, I think the bill first passes to the Senate team, and they discuss about it. They see if it is compatible to the rights of the population, and then brings it back to the government, the president. If he signs it, the bill becomes the law, but if not, they go through some other processes.
Okay, thank you so much. That was helpful. Thank you for Hello.
Hey.
I'm good. My name is Ali Rakoze. I'm a student in the Bachelor of Arts program with College for America at Southern New Hampshire University. And I'm conducting this interview as part of my academic work. With your consent, I will record this interview and use the information in this video I'm working on for a goal called Contribute to the Society. This interview will be used to create a video and submit it to College for America so that my project can be evaluated. This record will be used solely for that purpose. So if you don't mind, you can read that.
I, Karen Roxanne, give my informed consent to participate in this interview to be recorded and used as part of the student's academic work.
Okay, thank you. We can start with the first question. What are the three branches of the government?
I don't think I know all of them, but I think I know two: judiciary and legislative.
It's okay. It's a good start. So the second question, do you know what those branches do? What they do?
No, I don't know.
It's okay. So the third question, apart from Democratic and Republican, do you know any other third party? That's good. The fourth and the last question, what is the basic process by which a bill becomes a law?
I've never heard of that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Hello everyone, my name is Ali Urakoze. Uh, Definitely, I'm going to talk about the US government, and I've conducted the street interview to see how much Americans and about the government, and I will be correcting some misconception they are still facing with. The interview and this video focus about the three branches of the government. What does each branch do? Talking about the how the Democrats and the Republicans start their history, talking about also the impacts of other minor parties, and lastly, I will be talking about basic process by which a bill becomes a law. So, starting to cover the first question, what are the three branches of government? The three branches of government are there is one which is legislative branch, the Congress, and the executive branch, which is the presidential one, and the judicial branch, which is mainly made by judges and lawyers. So each branch play its own role. Starting on legislative branch, it plays the following roles. Its main responsibility is the creation of laws. Actually, the United States Constitution outlines the powers of legislative branch, which is divided into two houses, which are the Senate and the House of Representatives. So, legislative branch is the only one which creates laws or change the executive laws, and legislative has the power to create an annual budget for the federal government. And also, the legislative members control how the taxes and tariffs are collected and direct how federal money should be spent. So the last one is the House of Senate investigate the possible wrongdoings within the federal government. So the Senate and representatives are elected by people. So the role of executive branch, the second one is the executive branch of the US is responsible for passing laws. Its power is vested in the president. Uh, the president acts as both the head of state and commander-in-chief of armed forces. So also independent federal agencies are tasked with enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. So here, the presidents are having the following roles. So, the president's main job is to execute laws passed by the Congress, so the legislative one. So, the Constitution gives the president the power to veto bills passed in Congress, call Congress into special session, serve as a commander-in-chief of the armed forces, receive leaders and other officials of foreign countries, make treaties with other countries with Senate approval, of course. And also, the last one is appoint heads of executive agency, federal court judges, ambassadors, and other top government officials. So, the last branch, which is judiciary branch, the role are the following. Judicial branch include criminal and civil courts, and they help to interpret the United States constitutions. So, and also the judicial branch acts as the Supreme Court role is to interpret the Constitution and limit the powers of the other branches of the government. So the federal judiciary is the branch of the government that holds the trials and decided case under the nation's laws. Federal laws are passed by Congress and signed the president. The judicial branch decided the constitutionality of federal laws and resolve other disputes about federal laws. However, judges depend on our government executive branch to enforce court decisions. So the courts decide what really happened and what should be done about it. So they decide whether a person committed a crime and what the punishment should be. So they also provide a peaceful way to decide private disputes that people can resolve themselves. So going to cover the second question, which was what does each branch do? How are these three branches connected? So the connection between legislative, executive, and judiciary branch are the following. So the two bottom corners are the judicial branch and the judicial branch, which also called Congress. Each part of the government is connected to the other. So each has its own responsibilities and powers. A system of checks and balances prevents one branch from gaining too much power. So through the system of checks and balances, the three branches of government check on one another to make sure that no single branch has more power than the other. So the executive branch can veto bills that the legislative branch creates. However, the legislative branch can override the veto within 2/3 of majority votes. So how they regulate each other, checks and balance. So they have connection and they regulate each other through the following ways. The system of checks and balances is used to keep the government from getting too powerful in one branch. For instance, the executive branch can veto bills from legislative branch, but the legislative branch can override the veto. So also checks and balances operate throughout the US government as each branch executive certain powers that can be checked by the powers given to the other branches. So through the system of checks and balance, the three branches of government check one another to make sure that no single branch has more power than the other. So the executive branch can veto bills, the legislative branch can create, however, the legislative branch can override it over three majority votes. So the president, head of the executive branch, serves as commander-in-chief of the military force, but Congress legislative branch appropriates funds for the military and votes to declare war. So in addition, the Senate must ratify any peace treaties before anything happens. So also Congress has the power of the pursuit as it controls the money used to fund any executive actions. So the president nominates federal officials, but the Senate confirms those nominations. So those are the connection how they work each other, and the other one is by passing amendment to the constitution, Congress can effectively check the decision of the Supreme Court, and Congress, considered the branch of the government closest to the people, can impeach both members of the executive and judicial branches. So, going to the third question, which is Democrats and Republicans are the major parties. Which one is which one is the third party? How did the two-party system started? Starting by the Democratic Party was formed in 1792 when supporters of Thomas Jefferson began using the name of Republicans of Jefferson's Republicans to emphasize its anti-aristocratic policies. Uh, Democrats support a more progressive tax structure to provide more services and reduce economic um, inequality by making sure that the wealthiest Americans pay the highest amount in taxes. So Democrats support more government spending on social services while spending less on the military. So the Republican Party began as a coalition of anti-slavery conscience, which and free soil Democrats opposed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, substituted to Congress by Stephen Douglas in January 1854. It is also called a Grand Old Party. Definitely, the Republican Party fought to protect the rights of African Americans after the Civil War. Today's Grand Old Party is generally socially conservative and favors smaller government, less regulation, lower taxes, and less federal intervention in the economy. So the impact to the third, the minor parties have on national politics are the following. In the US, third party refers to any party other than the major two, one which is Republican and Democratic. Um, so the third parties also serve an important role in our political system by forcing major political parties to address new issues they might not have previously addressed very much. And third party candidates can also greatly impact an election by taking away votes from one of the major political party candidates. So the third party candidates rarely win election in American campaigns. Third party candidates can shift national attention to particular issues. Third party candidates can take votes away from major political party candidates, influencing the outcome of elections. So, and also the minor parties can introduce ideas into political discussion that the major party later pick up on. The Populist Party in the late 19th century demanded the direct election of the senators, the progressive taxation of income, maximum hours, and minimum wage laws. All of these seemed outrageous to the mainstream at the time, but it was not destined to remain outrageous. These minor parties can draw votes away from one major party in particular, assisting the victory of the other. Many people believe that Ralph Nader contributed to the electoral victory of George W. Bush over Al Gore in 2000 by drawing critical votes away from the Democratic Party. So the third parties tend to be much more ideological than their counterparts from the Democratic or Republican parties. Going to the fourth question, what is basic process by which a bill becomes a law? Uh, Starting by the first step, it has like 5 steps. The creation of a bill. So how it's created, members of the House and or Senate draft, sponsor and introduce bills for consideration by Congress. The House clerk assign a legislative number of bills introduced in the House of Representatives. There goes the second step, which is committee action. Actually, a committee action is assigned to study the bill according its subject matter. So committee will refer the bill to one of its subcommittees. The subcommittee may request reports from government agencies, hold hearings so expert and interested parties have an opportunity to offer testimony regarding the issue or revise the bill or report legislation to the full committee for its consideration. The full committee may make a recommendation to pass the bill, revise it, I mean markup, and release the bill, also known as reporting the bill out of the committee, or to lay the bill aside, also known as tabling the bill. So the third step, which is floor action, the bill is returned to the full House or Senate for further debate and approval. At this point, members may propose amendments to the bill and additional text. So the fourth step, which is vote. Here the House and Senate member vote on the respective version of the proposed bill. So the conference committees, this 5 step, which is the conference committees, here a bill must be approved by both chambers and Congress. When the Senate amends and agrees, the to a bill or version of a bill that the House has already passed on. When the House amends and passes a Senate bill or a version of Senate bill, the two chambers may begin to resolve any legislative differences between the House and the Senate version of the bill by way of a conference committee. So we goes to the sixth step, which is the presidential action. After the bill is passed by both chambers, it is sent to the president for his approval or his signature, which is granted, creates a public law. uh, when a president comments and refuses to sign a bill, it is known as a veto. A vetoed bill may return to Congress for reconsideration. If the president does not act within 10 days, the bill automatically becomes law. So the creation of law. The seventh step is the creation of law. The Office of Federal Register assigns the public law a number of government printing office, a copy of it. So laws are issued first in slip form or single publication containing one law. Later, it is organized in the order in which it was passed. Finally, it is codified into subject order so that all laws on the same topic follow together. Uh, that was the last one. So at that time, that's when a bill becomes a law, when it's passed through those steps. Thank you so much for watching my video. uh, I hope it helped and it cover all the thing about the US government. Thank you.